Peace, neighbors. Yo, what's poppin' with the population, man? It's your favorite neighbor, Dayron, aka Neighborhood. Y'all know the plethora of names by now. Welcome back to the greatest More Life show on the planet. As you guys can see, we are getting to it to get through it. Today, I want to basically kind of expound on the composting one-on-one video. This is sort of like a part two. I just want to show you guys the whole grass clipping part of composting. If you were wondering why I was showing a bunch of grass in the beginning of the episode, that is why. I'm going to be collecting all this grass, aka nitrogen, and adding it to my compost along with something else that I will show you guys later on in the episode, so stay tuned. It's a very great ingredient that I don't think nobody talks about. But first, before we get into this episode, make sure to do your neighborhood due diligence. Make sure to give this episode a like. Make sure to comment neighborhood, or show some overall love in the comments below. Let your favorite neighbor feel that energy. And as usual, follow me on all my socials at neighborhood nature underscore. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. What you waiting for? Let's continue to grow this channel one neighbor at a time. And if you want to start your food forest but don't know where to start, then all you have to do is take this tree, transplant it to a bigger pot or into the ground. Make sure to hit that link at NH Grower Society on Etsy, neighbors. Again, NH Grower Society on Etsy, man. I'll put the link in the description below. And go check out what the neighborhood has to offer. We got certain seeds, we got a plethora of trees, and we got a growing collection of medicinal herbs to offer the neighborhood. If you guys want that compost to break down a lot faster, you want to add more grass to it, grass clippings and stuff of that nature, because grass clippings are basically the nitrogen, and nitrogen is going to help break down that compost faster. You want to have a nice balance between nitrogen and carbon. What is the carbon? The carbon is the leaves that fall off your trees, which turn brown, or if you have any old dried up branches, sticks, any of that brown stuff, that is carbon. Now the grass, that is the nitrogen, and that's going to be the hydration and also the nitrogen, which is going to keep the compost moist but not wet, and it's going to help break down that compost even further. Now I do have to flip this compost, and like I said, I will be adding all these grass clippings and whatever carbon I pick up to the compost. Now I'm not gonna lie, neighbors, I don't know if it's just me, but I love composting. You know why? Because it really teaches me to not waste anything. I've been adding all types of food scraps into it, juice scraps, eggshells. It's been doing wonders for my compost. If you guys really think about it, like, there's no such thing as having waste, because you can literally turn it into food for your trees, which will help add nutrients to the soil. It will feed and regenerate the soil and get that ecosystem popping down below, so that you can feed the microorganisms down below, which will feed your trees, and then in turn will feed you when you harvest this fruit. We love to mention how in America, you know, the soil isn't the same, it isn't this, it isn't that. It's just because we're not taking time to regenerate the soil. It's not like, you know, America's a lost cause. We've gone so commercial with, you know, farming, and so scientific with it, that we just chemicalized it and basically torture and ruin the soil with all the tilling and all the chemicals that we utilize to keep away bugs and stuff like that. And it's having a long-term effect on our produce. It takes about 6 oranges nowadays to get your regular amount of vitamin C and the whole nine. So, you know, practices like this will help, you know, further feed the soil, and not only feed the soil, but in due time feed you, and get back to eating and having and harvesting nutrient-dense produce, neighbors, whatever that is, from your vegetation to your herbs to your fruits, whatever you are growing. But let's get to it, because it's hot out here. Make sure y'all staying hydrated. Make sure y'all getting your H320, that good bust down watermelon juice. So I will be flipping the compost after this and showing you how it looks, what new things I'm adding to it. I may do that in between mowing the grass, because this is an electric lawnmower, and what that means is the battery doesn't always last long enough for me to cut the whole grass. So in between, if I do have to charge the battery, I will just flip it in between, you know, to kill time and all that. But nonetheless, let's get to it, neighbors. You'll be so surprised how much nutrient dense weeds, like what we classify as weeds, that are growing in your lawn. You know, that they have taught us throughout the years that are some harmful weeds that kill the grass, kill the lawn, whatever the case may be. In the grand scheme, they was just trying to market their product to us to kill these weeds, which in most cases, a lot of these weeds you can take and they will help you with certain ailments that you have. These certain weeds you can literally collect in your grass clippings and add it to your compost, pack it full of this nutrients, you know, release these nutrients from the weed that you're putting in the compost, neighbors. And every native weed is different, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just in North Carolina with my lady the other day visiting her grams, and in their backyard, what he classified as a weed was, lo and behold, dandelion. He had dandelion growing everywhere in his yard. And I'm like, it's not a weed, that is an herb that you can use for certain ailments. You know what I'm saying? He didn't know that. He was so surprised. It really makes you wonder, like, all that shit that they marketed us to kill these weeds and all the propaganda that went to convincing us to pull all these weeds out the ground, destroy these weeds, and just go on an all-out chemical warfare to remove these weeds out of the yard, when God put them there for a reason. They're for the healing of the nation. They're for the healing of the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? So I want you guys to take that into account. I personally don't even like mowing the lawn, but this isn't my crib to let the grass grow. And I'm not totally against mowing the lawn, but I do want you to take into account the biodiversity that can appear if you just allow it to grow. You'll be surprised by the ecosystem that will thrive in your backyard, and how much more nutrient dense the soil will be if you don't cut it so often. You may never know where you're at. You may have a native weed there that, lo and behold, this weed is probably like dandelion or burdock root or something like that that's naturally growing in your backyard. Even in New York, when I was operating in the city, all the grass that's growing into the side of the highway or intersection, all that was dandelion. And a lot of us don't realize that, and we go to the store and buy this dandelion when it's naturally available to us for free. We've been so conditioned in America to classify these ancient plants as weeds. We don't have no education on what these weeds are. We just think it's some invasive, monstrous weed that's coming to kill our dormant ass lawn, when in reality, it's really some nutrient dense herb that you could possibly use for your healing. So if you don't want to use it in that way, you could use these weeds or these herbs and feed your compost with it. I noticed that the bottom of the compost is dry, so I just need to flip it so I can make sure it's evenly composting. What happens is, if your compost is staying dry at the bottom, it's going to take a longer time to decompose. You need the whole compost to be evenly moist so that it can break down, neighbors. I'm starting to see a bunch of ants in this one because of the whole dryness in the bottom, so that's all I need to do is flip it. Now, if you do see ants in your compost, that's no big deal, neighbors. That doesn't mean you're ruining the compost. They aren't ruining the compost. If anything, they're aerating the compost. But you'll get rid of them by keeping the compost moist. They don't like it moist down there. They like it nice and dry. So keep flipping it every couple days, watering it evenly, and then it'll get to a point where you don't really have to flip it as much, because you'll have old material in there and it's all going to evenly stay moist in there. But when you're constantly adding dry carbon in there, have to make sure you're mixing it every so often so that you won't have the top half breaking down, then the bottom half still dry and looking like you just put the leaves in there. You feel me? If it stinks, it's okay. It's not always gonna stink. It's only gonna stink in the beginning because, you know, the food scraps are breaking down, so of course it's gonna stink. And when you don't smell it anymore and it smells like dirt or some of that nature, like it's not no pungent or just rotten smell, that's how you know it's ready to use. It's all broken down and it's ready to be mixed into your potting mix or put on your trees or whatever you want to use it for, neighbors. All right, neighbors, so I empty the compost bin. Now all I'm going to do is get the hose and water whatever leftover residue of leaf matter that's in here, so I can get it moist in there. And then I'm gonna water this wheelbarrow a little bit, and then I'm gonna take some of my new grass cuttings that I got from mowing the lawn, and I'm going to gradually add that in with the transitioning compost that I have, and I'm going to mix it up, water it, and just layer it like that so that it can evenly be moist from top to bottom, so we don't have that problem of just the top of the compost is getting moist and breaking down and the bottom is just staying dry and just decomposing slowly. No, we want the whole thing to decompose at the same time. Now, you mainly want to put your nitrogen, which is your new grass clippings, on the top, but I like to layer it in, you know what I'm saying? So each layer could get that nitrogen, you feel me? Also, don't worry if your new grass clippings fill up the compost bin, because remember, as it breaks down, it is going to shrink. It's going to shrivel up. Another way that you can break down this compost even further or even faster is by, creating your own lactose bacillus bacteria, which is basically like a milk bacteria, and that will definitely speed up the composting. I was able to speed up my composting about 30 to 60 days by adding that lactose bacillus bacteria. That's more of a tedious thing where it will take some time before you actually add that to the compost, because you got to create the lactose bacillus bacteria. You got to let it sit, you got to let it build. You got to decide if you want to add some nutrients to it and so forth before you add it. So if you guys want to know how to do that, definitely put that in the comments and I'll definitely get on that and make a episode on how to do that as well, neighbors. So if you guys want to skip the whole watering with the hose process, all you have to do is take your grass clippings and soak them in water overnight, and you can skip this constantly watering it while you layer it. So the nutrient-dense amendment or ingredient that I'm going to add to my compost, you probably put the offspring to the tree into your compost. That amendment is none other than the banana tree. I love to add this to my compost. I only use bananas one time. After they fruit, they're done. They're annual fruit. So when you cut them down, most times what people do is they just throw it away. But in reality, you can break this down, which is not hard to break down, especially when you first cut it, and you can layer it into your compost. So it will keep it moist, it will aerate, and it will add a ton of nutrients to your compost. Stop throwing away your banana trees and add them to your compost. This is why I love composting, because it really teaches you nothing goes to waste in your garden. Whatever is done growing, whatever has served its purpose in your garden, you don't necessarily have to say to hell with it and throw it in the trash. You can break it down and throw it into your compost, neighbors. It's easier to utilize the banana tree when you first cut it down, because when it starts to get all brown and tough, that's when it's like harder to break down. But when you freshly cut it, it's very easy to peel the layers back and put it into your compost. You'll also start to notice when you're peeling these layers, you'll start to notice how much moisture the banana tree really holds, man. When you first cut your banana tree, you'll notice a ton of water released from the stem that you cut. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the top, and then I'm just gonna break it down and layer it into my compost. You're tired of doing this and just wrestling it open, just lean your weight against it, not too much where if it breaks you're gonna fall, but just enough where you're just squeezing it open. It rips open easy, and then you just shovel it into your mix like that. I'm gonna add the rest of my grass clippings to top it off. All right, neighbor, so I finished layering the compost, and I'm not even gonna hold you, I'm exhausted right now, you feel me? I'm exhausted, you know what I'm saying? Out for the count. It's time to go in the crib and eat, you heard? But yeah, we finished layering the compost. Again, neighbors, if you guys want to know how to speed up the time frame to when you can utilize this compost in your potting mixes or to spread on your trees, let me know if it's a way other than adding more nitrogen to your compost. 'Cause I would definitely put you guys on game to the lactose bacillus bacteria method. Until then, make sure to do your neighborhood due diligence. Make sure to give this episode a like. Make sure to comment neighborhood, or show some overall love in the comments below. Let your favorite neighbor feel that energy, man. Let them know that all this hard work, wisdom, and knowledge is going to use, neighbors. Go follow me on all my socials at neighborhood nature underscore. As usual, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so we can continue to grow the neighborhood one neighbor at a time. From growing trees to plants and horticulture knowledge, plant-based knowledge, and much more. Just know that everything that we speak about in the neighborhood is going to provide you life. You heard? If you want to start your food forest journey but don't know where to start, you don't want to start from seed, you want to just start by getting a tree and planting it in the ground or upgrading the pot, make sure to go hit that link in the description below. Go tap into the online plant nursery. It's currently on Etsy and it is called NH Grower Society. Yes, NH Grower Society. Go check out what all the hype is about. While all the neighbors that been shopping in the neighborhood been raving about this illustrious customer service, good customer service, good product, all that, neighbors. We got it out here, man. Go see what your favorite neighbor has to offer, you feel me? That being said, man, let's get outside, let's get to growing so our health can get to glowing. Y'all already know the mainstay neighborhood motto, which is grow your own / support true righteous local growers like myself, or continue to rely on a broken system to supply you their own. And we all know what the system's own comes with. We ain't even gotta state it by now. If you don't know, go watch previous episodes, because I damn sure stated. You know what I'm saying? So peace, love, light, much healing energy to you and yours. It's your favorite neighbor, Dayron, aka Neighborhood. Y'all know the plethora of names by now. See you on the next one. You dig?